Hi, I'm Tizer from the ID crew. I started doing graffiti in 1988 with my brother and two friends, and we wanted to be part of hip-hop. Tizer comes from a drink by Bars, I think. It's like an old English drink, but I chose it because I had some terrible names when I was younger and nothing really stuck. And then I chose Tizer because it's a British drink and I'm a British graffiti writer. And I wanted people to realize that I was a British graffiti writer, even though I don't sound like I'm from here, because I'm not. But I grew up here, so you have to have me. When I first moved to England, there was a lot of huge illegal murals. Mostly political, mostly anti-war. And because I grew up in Brixton, one of my favourite murals that's just been repainted was Nuclear Dawn. And because I was going to a lot of anti-war and anti-Nazi stuff, and my mother was always political, so we were constantly going on marches and fighting the good fight against sexism, racism, and war. So that one particular mural really excited me because it had death and it was all about nuclear bombs. And also I was terrified of dying at that time. And it just gave me, when I saw that mural, I realized that one day, hopefully, I'll be able to paint on that kind of scale. I think a lot of people like graffiti because of the colors, but they don't read it, and they can't read it because they've never bothered to stand in front of it and try to read it. So they feel ostracized to that, and they think that it's a language that only we can understand, which is true, but it's not a difficult thing to then be able to start reading it. If you actually stand and look at it, you'll get the letters after a while. For me, it was a really positive way to constantly learn about art, and even down to typography, you know what I mean? Me trying to get good tags was me looking at calligraphy and ancient writing to be able to get ideas on how to make a tag look cool, you know? So through graffiti, I've learned all different types of art, and it uses every art that's known to man. So you learn about perspective, color design, character design, scenery, you know what I mean? You can learn everything if you study graffiti. When I first started doing graffiti, I would never tell anyone that I did graffiti. I would never have told a girlfriend or anybody, because one, they could ring the police and get you arrested, but then also it wasn't for them, it was from me. Do you know what I mean? Like I always did graffiti from my friends, and they didn't do graffiti. It would make me happy when they were like, "Oh, I saw you there and there," and I'd be like, "Yeah," you know. It was a confidence boost for me when I had none. I was constantly told at school, because of my dyslexia and me being a problem child, that I was going to be a failure and that I was going to be in prison by the time I was 17 and that I was a piece of shit, you know. And I never believed that. And skateboarding got my aggression out, and graffiti made me want to educate myself. And it gave me self-pride and power. When I was a child, we had to mix paint because you could only get specific colors. So, and then we would make our own markers and make our own inks. So in a lot of ways, that was a kind of mystical part of graffiti, which once you got to get into the right crowd, you were taught techniques on how to do things, you know, where now you can look on the internet and you can find everything you've ever wanted to know about the thing that you're getting into, which is great, but it kind of loses that mysticism. Somebody said to me recently that I really like it when you show really old graffiti because it's not very good. And I was like, cool. And he was like, no, it's really important that young people can see that you've progressed, because if they look at your stuff now, they're like, I won't ever be able to do that. And that's not true, because when I started doing graffiti, I couldn't really even draw. So, you know, I learned how to write my name, and you know what I mean? Like, learned how to do things, and you're constantly learning, which is really exciting, because every time you make mistakes, then if you look later on, there might be a part of that mistake which you can form or base a whole bit of artwork off. Graffiti and street art is throwaway, and that's one way that makes it different from fine art, is that you're not precious about the thing that you're painting. I mean, you should be up to a point, but you know that it's either going to get painted out, painted over, or dissed. You know what I mean? So if you shouldn't get upset about that, because the people that are dissing your stuff want you to be upset. And who are they? I love going to different countries to paint. I mean, I love going to different cities in the UK to paint. You know, for me, whenever I'm painting it, I'm having fun. And if I'm able to travel and go to different places, then it's really exciting for me, because it's something new. And I know when I go to specific places in the world, there's still hierarchies within graffiti, and also there's also a respect there. So I know that if I go to certain countries and do a painting, then my stuff will last for 9 years maybe. And in England, I know that it's going to go pretty quick. I find freedom in it. So I've had quite a turbulent life, and when things are really bad, or even if they're really good, I don't have to think about my life when I'm painting. So I'm concentrating on getting a line to a line, or filling in areas, and it gives me a few hours or minutes to myself. I don't have to think about my problems. So in a lot of ways, for me, it's kind of like therapy. So I mean, I painted a lot anyway because it made me happy, but terrible moments in my life, I've just gone out and painted, and then it's given me, it was like art therapy for me. So maybe my graffiti might look really aggressive or angry at that moment, or sad, and I can look back at that painting and go, oh, I remember that. That was a terrible day, but I quite like my graffiti because it looks quite angry, and I like angry looking graffiti. You know, so, you know, it's, I mean, I paint a stupid amount. I just, for a long time, I needed to escape, and it was a good way of escaping. I just want to try and be the best that I can be. And if people like it, then they like it. If they don't, then they don't. You know, it's not up to me for them to like what I do. I'm forcing people to look at my stuff, so it's invasive anyway. So if they don't like it, I probably don't like it either.